Yeah, I mean, like I said, even going back to that conversation, I think it's something that's owed, and the more we stop looking at it as a handout or situation or something like that, I think the more that we can start getting a lot of people to kind of understand and see the perspective, because I think that's also part of the argument that a lot of
I think there needs to be strategy when it comes to
absolutely.
reparations. I think that just asking for something without having a strategy, if you get it, and I say that's a big if for me, because like I said, I don't think America is obligated to give. Sorry, I don't think America feels obligated to give reparations. I think they listen to the talk, but I don't know if they feel obligated because that's what they've shown. Like, and I know it sounds harsh, and I'm not saying it's not old, but they don't feel it. It's like asking a bully, "Yo, I want my wallet back," and he's only going to give it back if he feels like doing it. Like, that's all
Well,
he's going to. He's just going to give it. He's
you
going to give it back
understand.
if he feels like it. I don't think America feels like giving that.
But here's the thing, America doesn't feel like doing a whole lot of things. But the one thing I find interesting about America versus other countries, like let's say China and all these other things, they tend to cave to public pressure a lot of times, right? They will do things or set up policies when it comes to public pressure being pressed on them. So, for instance, when you have certain outcries, right, that would go on where you have clear issues of injustice, like with the George Floyd incident, for example, where you have one of those other rare gatherings where the world comes in and says, hey, this is clearly wrong, America. There's an issue here, right? And here's the thing, America has that thing where it tends to backtrack depending on the public pressure. So with you saying that America doesn't feel like they have to, I think that part of the reason why they don't feel like they have to is because part of it is, hey, they set up a system where they have people like us to sit there and stand in the way of that movement, right? They would like words like, oh, you're being emotional, or you're asking for handouts, right? They set up these different structures to prevent that. And on top of that, and part of what you were saying was right too, we don't have strategy to be able to effectively apply pressure to the government to be able to get things done, right? So, and whenever there is a concerted,
Right,
collaborative movement, there's always some kind of infighting that goes on. So, for instance, I would even use this whole Pearl situation as an example, right? Where we're
right.
talking about black folks from the diaspora banding together and really calling out this type of colonial mentality. But then you have other
Right.
black folks that then it's like, hey, let's just focus on these other people that look like me and start fighting them, giving them ammo to be able to then start, attacking
Yeah.
other brothers, which breaks up the movement. So I say like every single movement that we have set up, I feel like systematically there's a
I feel
plant,
I
there's an
feel like
agent.
I'm going to say this. I think it's leverage. I said this on I put out a statement about it, and I said you have to have leverage. If America is in debt 1.1 trillion to China right now, right? And last time I looked at reparations, I think it was estimated at like 7 trillion or something like that. I could be wrong. I said, who's more likely to get that money back? China is. And you know why? Because China's got leverage. China's got power and China's got leverage. The only way in which you get what you want is to have either power and leverage. And I'm asking people in America, do you have the power and do you have the leverage? And I don't think you're going to have the power and the leverage if you're constantly infighting.
That's true, but where I gotta
You're not
push
going to have it.
back, you're right. There is a lot of infighting, right? But where I push back is and I hear this argument a lot, where a lot of people say that black folks we don't have power and things like that, and that perceived notion of it. And I actually don't believe so. I think as a whole, culturally speaking, black folks, especially Western American black folks, like when we talk about culturally, like hip hop and all that stuff, that's a lot of influence. And then let's talk about the power we have economically speaking alone, like the trillions of dollars that the black population puts into the economy. That's massive power. So again, it comes back to what you were saying earlier about the organization and bringing that back, because I believe that America and a lot of these corporations in America understand very well the impact that black Americans have when it comes to getting certain things done. It's just that the organization of it is what we have to figure out. How do we weed out the infighting so that way we work as a cohesive unit? Because once we start realizing that we work as a cohesive unit, you start to see that the trillions trillions of dollars that we're putting in the economy every single year. Once that stuff stop going to Balenciaga, what do you call it? What do you call it? All these Douce Cabana, all these fancy brands that don't even care about the hustle or the struggle, anyways, right? That's the thing. So if once we start organizing and reorienting to our communities on that scale, that's when you start getting a lot of people to perk their ears up, right? So start really listening to what it is, because you are right. The money is the big motivator.
I've got so many people trying to get on right
I'm
now.
sorry. I actually got to get off, but like, I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, we're gonna keep exposing a lot of these guys and keep doing what you're doing, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much, Duke, brother. Take care of yourself.
Let's say this quickly. I'm African American. Sa Ra, I've been watching.
Could you put your camera on? Is that okay?
No, I don't even look. I don't look presentable enough to do that. But I am African American. I've been watching you before Just Pearly. I didn't even know who Just Pearly was. Let me say that.
Right.
I think I discovered you during the uprising of George Floyd because I was watching the news around the world, and that would include the UK. And that's how I think.
Tommy Robinson interview. Is that what you saw? You saw the Tommy Robinson debate?
I don't know, but I was watching a lot of information around the world. So I didn't know all of this. I will say this. A lot of African Americans on the ground don't know who FBA is. And I think that FBA on the internet happens to be responsible for the infighting. And there are a lot of African Americans that are like Taharka Bay, Omawali Africa, which I highly suggest. He's on the ground. He has a YouTube channel as well that you get with, because they've been talking about it in a more constructive way. Right. You certainly are our brother. I want to say that to you as an African American.
And you're my sister.
Regardless to how it is seen on social media.
Right.
So with that said, all I simply want to say is that I'm glad you got your channel, Black.
Thank
but
you.
A lot of us as African Americans have been pushing back on the rhetoric that the FBA is delivering to our African brothers and sisters in the diaspora and on the continent. And with that said, I wish you peace. And give me a shout out. And I may even come to you to help grow my channel. Thank you, Sa Ra. Best wishes.
All right, the Rainy Free. Thank you very much.